Oh, hey Stargazers, it's me, Staria. I was just writing some notes down for future developers when they decide to make a game. Do you think a good tip would be to drink Dr. Pepper? Nah, it doesn't matter. But Roblox has had a large number of games become popular over the years, some better than others, but with that, it's also made me realize that there is indeed a god. Just means Satan's around the corner too. Yes, the Roblox Asym genre. This one's a funny little crockpot of controversy, isn't it? I've kept my eye on this genre for a couple of years now, and from what I've seen, these games are incredibly impressive. Now, what is an Asym? Well, an Asym game, or in this case, asymmetrical horror, is a multiplayer game genre that typically follows a group of survivors who must attempt to survive a whole round against one player who's the killer, often completing tasks to advance the round's timer or surviving until certain conditions are met for an escape. Consider games like Dead by Daylight, Friday the 13th, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But you can also apply the asymmetrical gameplay style to other games outside of the horror survival archetype, such as TF2's Payload game mode or Counter-Strike Global Offensive. A lot of these games tend to follow similar formats while coming up with new methods to keep their game fresh, and this is where Roblox horror Asyms come into play. From model quality to music to gameplay, it's amazing how some of these games can really shine a light to show that there is indeed quality to be found on the platform. You know, when that light isn't being overshadowed by a giant predator tumor. Nonetheless, something is fascinating about these games, so I thought I'd go over them. So how about we start off with the most popular and somehow consistently flawed and controversial Forsaken! Did time just stop for a second? What the hell was that? Now, before we properly go over this game, I need to preface that I am indeed aware of the insanely large amount of controversy revolving around this game and its devs, so I'm going to get this out of the way before we start. I don't support the devs, nor will I ever come back to this game, as I don't really align with their viewpoints, morally questionable decisions, and continuous financial support of soul-driven love. Like, seriously guys, I don't care if you need more evidence or whatever you need to, get them out of the payroll, but you're giving a predator 25% of all profits. That's egregious. And frankly, it's ruined your image, so to everyone in the community, I highly suggest that you just get this shit sorted. And also learn how to be good people. I don't know. Anyways. Hey guys, so in a recent discovery while editing, turns out all that 25% was fucking Monopoly money. You soul, you can't DivX that shit! The way Forsaken plays is fairly simple. You and up to 8 other players need to turn on 5 generators to get the time down while escaping the killer to win. And as killer, you do the obvious. Crack. For each kill, you add 35 seconds to the timer. When there's only one survivor left, the time locks in at 1 minute and 30 seconds. Each generator follows the puzzle to the popular Flow Free app, and with each puzzle finished, it takes 3.5 seconds out from the timer. Completing a generator will remove 14 seconds from the timer, with 70 seconds removed from the time if all 5 generators are complete. While these generators are fun, this comes with a problem I have with a lot of asymmetrical games, not just Forsaken. It's the lack of variety in puzzles. It tends to get really repetitive to consistently see the same puzzle be the only thing you need to do as an objective for every map, over and over again. I would really just like it if these games would go ahead and make different tasks for each map, or at the very least give generators multiple tasks, since each generator has you do the same 4 puzzles with different variety to it. But I will say, it is really funny knocking out people from their generators when they're trying to finish their tasks. Speaking of which, killers. They're pretty okay, I'd say. While the older cast of killers isn't too bad, some feel like they haven't gotten buffs since the last time I've played, such as 1X. It comes with the issue that newer killers are way too hard to fight against and way too easy to play as, such as Noli and Nosferatu. For this, I'll really only be focusing on Noli as he's my main and the one I have the most to say about him, and I've had very little experience against Nosferatu. Noli is the only killer I've enjoyed playing as, and hated going against. Usually the killers I've played as, Cool Kid, Slasher for example, I've never really liked playing or going against them, but with Noli it's a bit of a special case. The way Noli works is that he's an incredibly nauseating killer, relying on constant visual distractions and projectiles to throw you off your game, as well as his Void Rush and Nova, making it so that he can relatively be anywhere he wants almost instantly, which makes it hard to go against him. In practice, playing him is crazy easy because of how busted he is, which in a technical sense would be good, but in practice, it just feels kind of cheap. He's just way too tuned up to be the easy for everyone killer. If he were just a bit more difficult to control properly, I think he'd be a bit more fair to at least go against. But other than that, I'd say he's the least fun to actually go against. As well as just being an easier and better cool kid, if you've played them side by side, you'd notice a lot of similarities between them and realize that they quite literally just made a better cool kid while making the actual cool kid worse to incentivize players to go for Noli instead. Oh, and his music sucks too.
You're about to be hurt very bad.
I do just love the sound of a flute speaker getting destroyed by an industrial threat. With Noli and 1X specifically, I feel like they catch up to you way too fast in a chase, and have punishing ranged trap moves that can really screw you up, but are a bitch to counter. I played against Guess 666 a few times, and they did not seem too difficult or broken. They have annoying moves, and the hemorrhage debuff that requires you to heal or get healed by a teammate, but overall, you can see them coming from across the map and they're quite slow. It's only the jump really that is overly strong. Not too many complaints about Guess 666. For me, just kind of, you know, he's chill. I don't got much to say. His design isn't my favorite, but I guess props for the creative decision. The survivors, while constantly feeling like they have less stamina than killers, do have their upsides, which vary in complexity. There are 3 types of survivors: survivalists, supporters, and sentinels. The ones I like to use the most out of each class would be Veronica, Elliot, and 2-Time. Oh, Veronica. Okay, no, that makes sense. Veronica is pretty snazzy because of her fast moveset with the skateboard and being able to apply 3 different status effects to the killer if she skates into them. Elliot is a support who can throw pizzas at players to heal them for 5 HP, as well as having an overtime, which is a short burst of speed. And lastly, 2-Time, which is my personal favorite, who has a crouch that makes them slightly invisible to try and sneak up on killers using their dagger to jab killers with. And for each jab, they fill up this meter. Filling this bar grants the player their second life, which only works once you set up the ritual in a safe space. These 3 are my personal favorites, but my problems don't really come from them. They come from specifically Shedletsky and 7 and 7. Shedletsky, for starters, is way too overtuned. His sword takes very low skill for how to use it, as you don't get punished for failing a hit, and his chicken, which heals 40 HP, can be used twice, making it so his potential health is 180. 7 and 7 is one of the most hardest and useless survivors to actually play. He really just needs to hide in the corner of a map to teleport across once the killer gets near you, which doesn't even matter because the maps are so cramped. If the killer spots you trying to teleport, you're gonna get speed blitzed. Even then, you can swap in your clone to trick the killer easily. He's practically the most useless character in game and is just power crept by the likes of Veronica. Ultimately, I think the game is still pretty bad. I may not be the best player, but I've played the game in its prime. Nowadays, maps feel overly cramped, generators take off ridiculous amounts of time and get completed honestly way too fast, which is why I believe we need more variety of tasks in generators. And all the killers feel very punishing to a degree when you play against them, but can also feel detrimental when you have to play them. It makes Forsaken feel like just not a great experience overall, and I can never see myself ever coming back to it. Anyone else feel like Lucas really wasn't looking for that job? Because goddamn, what the f was that? Jesus Christ! Oh my, dude! Bro, all this shit's outdated. All of this. It's all gone. What the fuck, PillarChase do? Bro. The entire ASYM community is fucking imploding on itself right now. And I'm just... What? This video is so fucking outdated. What do you even say about PillarChase 2? How about, I fucking like this game, bitch! PillarChase 2 is one of the ASYMs to really spark the trend of ASYMs we have today. Really high quality ones, to be exact. In PillarChase 2, it's 13 survivors versus 1 killer. 3 minutes on the clock, and each round you have to solve multiple tasks to set the wind condition of lowering the timer by 6 seconds once a task is fully completed, making it so that once every player has done their task, you can take out roughly 70 or more seconds off the clock, as well as rewarding them with coins and extra killer chance for individual completed tasks and surviving. Every few rounds, there comes in a special round which aren't too memorable, really just Double Trouble and an infection game mode. The infection game mode is a little more unique though, because the only killer that can be used is Fawadi, which is kind of funny when you see 5 Fawadis chasing one dude down the hall. That's not all though, as players are given help with both upgrades and tools. The tools are just simple little things to help with navigation and defense. You got glow stick and flashlight for extra light, first aid kit for health regeneration, Stefano which shows if a killer is nearby, Doom's Gauntlet and flashbang which disorient the killer. The real downsides would be the fact that either dying in a round or not completing your tasks can rob you of up to 3 additional killer chance. These aren't just your only forms of defense, no, as you have a whole selection of upgrades to pick from. I've found over my time playing that the best ones I like to use are Energy Burst and Break Free. I think invisibility is a nice one to have, sure, but it's not all too great when almost every killer can either view where one or everyone on the map is. Even if it's less than 3 seconds, if you just so happen to be close to them while invisible and they spot you, it's wraps, brah. The maps themselves are really well designed too, each having their own unique layouts and pathings for looping, and this game does exactly what I was complaining about earlier. Say it with me now.
Multiple tasks for every map!
Yes, PillarChase 2 has multiple tasks for every map. While some maps include exclusive tasks, such as finding keys in Oni's mansion, or the blood tubes and keypad puzzle in Gilgamesh's holding facility for example, the game does have repeating tasks, such as picking up trash. It's not an issue as no task is difficult to solve, the only real challenge is how fast you can actually do it before dying, and if anything, the real issue comes with how easy they all are. Like in the dungeon, the task of opening chests is incredibly easy to solve, and if anything, takes away from the stakes of the game, trying to pressure you into being scared as there's no real consequence of actually failing a task, other than taking too long and letting the killer find you while you're doing your task. Something that would be beneficial for some tasks is having greater difficulty, which is in fact done in PillarChase 2 Recode, but I'll get to Recode later. The killers, oh boy the killers. I like them, these dudes are fun to play. Currently, PillarChase has a wide variety of killers to pick from, some of these being pre-existing IPs or existing media, with a little bit of OC sprinkled in, such as Valem or AL1. Who the fuck are you? Aoni, for example, has so much love and representation in this game that they've even worked on an official Aoni Roblox game, and it's awesome to see that. We've just been informed that I'm wrong. They did not work on it, they just collabed, okay? My bad. You have 17 killers to pick from. I personally use Whist and Fogborn, and damn, these two are my favorite, man. For Whist, this dude's a nutcase for how you can't regularly evade him if he's close due to him having a massive hitbox. Not to mention his frenzy mode, which makes it even harder because he can throw these gobble bombs as hitting them launches them farther and explodes on impact. So the only real way to evade Whist is to simply know your way around the map and stay as far away as possible. Also, f*** you to this Mario dude who was looping me throughout this entire game. I hate you. Fogborn is my second favorite killer, but he's also really self-explanatory, as you can just take advantage of people who are doing tasks, and generally have really good vision to be able to see players from afar. Speaking of vision, how far you can see is incredibly important in this game, both with survivors and killers alike. Whist, Jeff, and Uncle Samsonite, for example, heavily rely on getting close to players, so it incentivizes survivors need to utilize any tools that will let them see farther or keep their distance due to their weaker vision. I just really love PillarChase 2 Precode, and I think it has a lot going for it, even for the recode of the game, which I would get into, but there's not much I can go into at the moment. The game plays really nicely. I'm a fan of how you can go into third person and how all tasks are server-sided, which makes it so everyone needs to pull their weight into doing tasks. The addition of classes is nice, but I believe with how early in development PillarChase Recode is, I think it's best if we keep the discussion for later in the future, once there's more for me to talk about, but I really did enjoy the small time I had playing it. But it's not like it matters anyways, because I can just pick from a set of cards, and I'll decide if I can punch a magician or smoke method. Just like how Sharky Blocks on Twitter once said, this game is genuinely the Brawlhalla of ASYM'S. I think I'm a fan of Brawlhalla. Dive Death is really fun. It's one of the more unique ASYMs I've played, as it doesn't necessarily follow the actual style of most ASYMs, where you have to pick out specific classes by buying them in a shop. Instead, in every match as a survivor, you're given 3 cards to pick from at the start of every round. Each card gives 2 randomized skills for you to utilize. You have Adrenaline, Banana Peel, Block, Bonus Pad, Caretaker, Cloak, Dash, Punch, Revolver, Hot Dog, and Taunt, with 2 special cards, Care Pad and Love Shot, which have their own unique designs. Most skills are useful to the match, but some skills are very situational or have noticeable downsides, such as Cloak, Dash, Taunt, and Hot Dog, which really depends, but in a way every skill has a downside, but no skill is necessarily bad. So it's best not to settle for just one particular set. Instead, try to learn how to properly use every skill you have to help out every survivor as much as you can, which brings in the actual objective.
Survive.
Yeah, this game doesn't actually have tasks, no puzzles in order for you to lower the timer, nothing. Just purely survive and fight back as much as you can. You simply need to survive as long as possible while the killer tries to take down everybody one by one. When you die, in Die of Death, wait a minute, I think I just got a make it. It feels mostly like it actually is your fault. Like if you honestly mess up something and suffer because of it, it actually feels warranted with Die of Death's mechanics. You also don't get stacked with a ton of annoying debuffs that slow you down, stun you, or exponentially increase the rate at which you're taking damage and dying. It feels a lot more like the killers take actual skill, attention, and smart thinking to execute well, especially to be successful in a server. After every 2 normal killer rounds, there's a special round that plays. And man, these are definitely special rounds. You have Double Trouble, One Bounce, which is just one survivor versus all killers, Die Nation, which makes everybody a killer and you all have to fight to the death, Gunslinger, which equips every survivor with a punch and a revolver, Golf, which isn't out yet at the time of writing and recording, but from the looks of it, it looks very fun, and I'll get back to you if I happen to get the update while I'm still recording. Update, it is March 19th, and there is no update, and I'm sad. Also, I got a new color for my mic, it is blue. And Evil Scary. I hate you. I will always hate you, you stupid fuck! All these game modes are really fun to play, not you, and it's a really nice change in the ASYM genre, for how different it is compared to most other ASYMs. The killers are really cool. I'd say my favorites to actually play are Pursuer, Artful, and Killjoy. Not that I have a problem with Harken or Badware, I'm just not personally good with them and don't play them as much. I find Killjoy to be the funniest out of all killers for how stupidly easy it is to snipe people from across the map. Artful's gameplay style is really interesting for how it relies on slowing down survivors and blocking off any looping zones on the map. I'm not particularly good with Badware as I don't understand how his playstyle works fully, and Harken might be my least favorite to play because I can't really clock their complicated gameplay loop. Also, totally not because I got my ass kicked one time. And Pursuer is a melee-focused rushdown killer. He's my personal favorite, and I really enjoy using him with the Stalker skin. I love you, Stalker from Stalker Reborn.
I always thought I might be back.
On the discussion of skins, I really like these games' inclusions of skins for survivors and killers. While some skins do tend to not match or follow the theme of some ASYMs, I don't particularly think that matters too much, as they're just purely cosmetic little fun accessories you can collect. Some personal favorite skins of mine would have to be Party Noob and Party 2-Time and Teto 2-Time from Forsaken, the Gojo, Fogborn, and Sukuna EXE skin in PillarChase 2, MLG Droid, and well, you know. This is my presentation on why the Die of Death developers should add this skin into the game. I hope you consider this skin as a viable addition to your game. Please add YTP wear. For context, there is a skin known as Killdroid that has MLG references, and MLG is heavily associated with the YTP community, so as a member of the YTP community, I heavily suggest that you add YouTube poop wear. Please, you will make so much money. What the
YouTube poop.
I feel like people tend to get really conservative about the use of skins or emotes or just monetization in general in Roblox games, but I believe that they do deserve to have these kinds of things, not just because skins and emotes are fun to have and collect, but it's also cool to see some of these have so much effort put into them, especially with later skins I'll show you in other games. I love Die of Death. It's my personal favorite game out of most ASYMs for how it just stands out in almost every aspect to every other ASYM. Also, please add YTP where that was serious. Please, I beg.
Put a black card if you want me to die.
Typically with most ASYM games, they all have the same general theming of making the game have horror characters from pre-existing works or old Roblox stuff turned into horror. But the theming behind this one is interesting to say the least. What Pwned By 1400 does compared to most other ASYMs is use a lot of characters based off of Roblox ARGs with some original characters sprinkled in rather than creepypastas like other ASYMs do. Okay, I say that, but they recently updated the game and have replaced the characters Jacob and Father from the CD Archive series because the creator later decided to completely take down and archive all the CD archives. Thank you. Whoa. It was a joke content! Which is entirely fair and in their own wishes. They have since been replaced with new original characters made for Pwned, known as Gunhound and the Collector, which in my opinion I'm pretty okay with. These replacement characters are pretty well designed, and I never had an issue with these guys being removed to begin with, so I don't necessarily care if they are kept in or not. It seems like the game is still in a rather early development phase and has been through some tricky and rough spots with its cast, so giving them the benefit of the doubt here is important. Anyways, moving on to the main cast for this game, so far you have 5 survivors and 3 entities to choose from, giving it a lot less variety in gameplay compared to most other ASYMs on Roblox, but that's not to say it takes away from its quality. For survivors, you have Prototype, Brandon68759, Gunhound, Guest666, and Dragon's Dude 3. For entities, you got JX1DX1, the Collector, and the Stalker. The hell are you doing here? You're not an ARG character or OC, you're from a fucking game! I can't stay mad at you.
I always thought I might be better.
I'll be honest, I got no idea who any of these guys are aside from Brandon, because I watched that one Toasted Cherries video of them telling the story of Brandon works. Even though I'm not familiar with all these ARGs, I did take the time to look into them through videos that already got into detail of their stories, and I gotta say, these guys are pretty snazzy, I tell ya. The gameplay to Pwned is pretty fun, I'll say, and when I said these characters are pretty unique, I meant it. My favorites have got to be Gunhound, Guest666, and Brandon. Guest666 is my least played survivor, but my goodness are they really fun to play. They got 2 abilities. The first ability is a scream that will disorient the entity, and the second being their cat, which has 2 different resourceful modes to change from, and is essentially a walking meowing bomb. In trap mode, they work as a trip mine for the enemy, but in track mode, they target the entity like a goddamn suicide bomb runner. Brandon works as a support and healer. They throw cleansing bricks that will give temporary increased stamina regen and silenced footsteps, and their healing ability allows for placing a light box that survivors can stand inside of that passively heals survivors over time, but can be destroyed by the entity easily if found. Gunhound is a really fun, close and long distance stunner, where you need to use your BB gun to shoot the killer from a distance and hold your BB gun in the opposite direction to wind up a heavy swing to hit the entity. Gunhound comes at the cost of being extremely predictable to the entity, however, as they must first take out their gun in an animation before they're able to fire it, and the gun swing requires a wind up to deal more debuff to the entity. I think when it comes to the entities, they're also pretty fun, but my only real issues come from the Stalker, my main, and who I will be focusing on, since JX1DX1 and the Collector are both fun to use and play against generally, and I don't really have much to say about. This dude's moveset just kind of sucks, man. First off, I believe my issue with this killer is the actual abilities being pretty awkward. With his hunt ability, I would have preferred if the Stalker was already passively transparent at all times like the source material, and instead it replaced his ability with the decoys ability from the original game, for example. Next, I would think of changing how his paralysis works, because it's a massive cloud that will slow players down, but speed up stamina regeneration for the Stalker. The issue comes with how barely of a detriment it is to the players because of how big and loop heavy the maps are, so it just allows for survivors to take different paths to escape the Stalker. 2 things I think would be good changes would be to either make it so while the Stalker is in the cloud, his stamina regeneration is just a bit more faster, and or when he leaves the cloud, he leaves off a trail of paralysis smoke that follows him around for 10 seconds or less, which I believe may work better as there's the solution of jumping over the smoke. Another thing that could work is simply replacing it with a different ability, such as the Stalker's Scream or Telekinesis ability from the original game. Other than that, I think the Stalker is my favorite killer despite how much I dislike the moveset, and again, I'm not a qualified dev or balancer for any games, so this is simply just some potential ideas I had as someone who enjoys this game and wants to see it grow. Also, yes, I only use the Stalker Chan skin. Yes, I'm a fat fucking chud.
Seriously, new cartoon crush unlocked!
One last unimportant detail. On my first playthrough, I noticed when playing on the map Last Stop, I realized they made a map out of fucking Bus Stop Simulator. I love that game. That is like one of my favorite Roblox games of all time for how stupid it is. Like, for context, in my old animations that I used to do, the map used to be based off of Bus Stop Simulator, specifically the city area. So just seeing this map again in this ASYM is so cool, and props to whatever dev decided to add this map. Anyways, play Pwned. Good ASYM. I shit my pants. Sonic community, I'm sorry when I say this. I do not care for Outcome Memories. No! Now, don't get me wrong, I liked Outcome Memories back when I played it in its initial release and during the Silver and Blaze update, but after coming back to it for research on this, oh my god, what happened? I swear, I feel like every match was the same thing over and over again. I seriously don't want to pin my blame of my experience on the game's mechanics. I genuinely think I was just playing horribly, but good lord, was this just not fun. Like, at all. To start, I don't remember the camera being this nauseating to play with. It just feels so damn weird to control. And I know I don't want to mention it, but why the hell am I not able to see the hitboxes? I primarily play with seeing hitboxes, so not being able to see them makes it trying to hit players really, really difficult, man. Aside from the fact that I can't even tell how big these hitboxes are sometimes. It's a genuine pain trying to hit people. It sucks! But I don't want to be that kind of guy who just complains about the hitboxes. I'm not trying to be that much of a fat chud. The balancing in this game is also pretty bad, if I'm gonna be real here. The length of the stunning survivors give is atrocious. The stuns feel like they take forever to pass. This just pisses me off to no end, man. I did have some fun with this. The game's incredibly high quality, but with recent updates with Fleetway and Shadow being added after the game was cancelled, just makes it feel much more unpolished and unbalanced than it should be. I would like to sink in the hours to get good at these kinds of games, but frankly, I don't want to be a smelly basement dweller that has diamond rank on PillarChase 2, now do I? Frankly, if anything, I'm just too busy working on these kinds of videos for you guys and with your mother. But that doesn't mean there aren't things I don't like your mother. For starters, the rounds are simple yet fun. Each round you simply need to survive and stun the killer for as long as possible, and once the timer reaches 1 minute and 30 seconds, a green ring will spawn on the map as an escape zone to win the game. There's a few differences for how games go depending on what killer is played though. For example, if 2011X gets stunned enough times, he can activate Rage, which will stop the game clock for 1 minute and 30 seconds. Within Rage, his attack strength increases while giving him a 2-second cooldown on M1s, and replaces invisibility with a slowness but being able to see where everyone is on the map. And within Rage, if he uses it while the green ring is open, it will temporarily disable it as the last-ditch effort for the killer. And a cool thing about Fleetway is that he actually has a health bar, and if it reaches 0, he gets trapped and loses. I think that the diversity of player movesets are really unique. Each character being entirely different to play and not being similar to one another really brings in a sense of diversity to how the game will play out each time. I'd say my favorite survivors to play would be Sonic, Blaze, and Amy. Yeah, no, that's kind of it. I enjoy the others, I guess, but these three are the only ones I really actually like playing. Silver should really get a fix in how his abilities work. I feel like it's a steep learning curve in all honesty, but it ain't half bad. Each survivor has something that will help benefit the team. Other than Eggman, that is entirely a selfish character because he can only run away and put up a shield to protect himself. Though you can technically help with Eggman if you run up to EXE trying to attack somebody and then you pop a shield right before he attacks, so that's something. And standing near Metal Sonic while he's self-repairing, which will help him repair faster. The maps, meanwhile, are massive. Each map consists of incredibly differing pathways, and it's just kind of trash, if I'll be honest. I don't like some of these maps, frankly. Keyword some. Literally half of these maps are so bad, dude. Except for Not Perfect, you're just generally okay. Green Hill and Mystic Cave Zone can suck my dick. I hate these maps! I don't know what the hell they did with Green Hill, but they just made it so much worse in later updates. You know what? I'll say it. I think old Green Hill was better, and in fact, it was one of the best maps compared to every other map in the game. Now it just feels too small in some places and too big in others. Like, this whole water section is just such an annoyance. I wouldn't have so much of an issue with it, but my problem comes with how there's not enough pathways to leaving the water, and it just gets so annoying to be in every time. Don't even get me started on Mystic Cave, dude. This place just feels like a giant maze that goes nowhere. I always struggle traversing this area, and it just gets so annoying, dude. My problem comes with the fact that these maps are way too big for the normal game. There just gets to a point where the map is too big, and I just feel like I'm wandering and never helping the team when they're in a struggle. Aside from that, another positive, I guess, would be the customization of skins. When it comes to skins, this is easily the best because it comes down to customization. As designing characters go down to different pieces of clothing and color palettes, usually skins just change the entire model, but getting to change the skin entirely to your own style really makes it feel unique to you, and I love that. Killers, on the other hand, yeah, not fond of these schmucks, I'm gonna be honest.
He's not a schmuck. He's my
Bitch!
As I talked about before, I have a personal issue with how the killers feel. I feel like I can never hit anyone or anything, but can always get hit so easily. I genuinely try with these matches, but I'm simply not skilled enough to play these characters, as the skill ceiling is a bit high for me. Or I'm just actual shit, which is likely a possibility, and I wouldn't even doubt that either. So my opinion is null and void realistically. It's not to say that they aren't fun to play with or against though, except you, Colossus. I fucking hate you. I wish I could like Outcome Memories for everything it has to offer, but I simply don't enjoy how it plays. I can try and get good at it for sure, but if I took that time, I'd be taking away a lot of time from making these videos, since I try to get these out at least once a month or so. And don't think this means I don't like Sonic either. Have you seen my fucking background? I'm virginity incarnate.
Yeah, Sonic!
Okay, we have a security breach. Somebody has my phone number. Somebody is giving out my phone number right now.
I was really surprised by Doomed by Fate. Its theming, while very confusing to me, it's pretty cool, but I don't really know what it exactly wants to go for. A main inspiration behind Doomed by Fate is the Project Moon game franchise, mainly Limbus Company, a turn-based strategy gacha game. I don't know too much about it because I haven't played it, but from what my friends have told me, it seems interesting and I've been meaning to try it for a while. Probably won't though. Doomed by Fate is incredibly fun. For an ASYM, it's got to be one of the fastest ones I've played. It feels very combat heavy, with every hit and counterattack feeling like they leave a big impact. Every round you need to solve generators, and the task is a generator game similar to Forsaken, but unlike Forsaken, here it's a connect the wire minigame, with which it requires you to pull several times on the generator rev string after each time you connect the wires in order to power up the engine itself. While being a very different minigame, I feel like it follows the same issue I have with Forsaken, with the lack of task variety and monotony of the same kind of mind-numbing tasks. So I hope they add more tasks in the future, but as of right now, this one is fine and quick to do. I find the list of Doomed by Fate survivors to be pretty snazzy. You got Bacon, Brawler, Jane Doe, Jester, and Soldier. And for the killers, you got Cool Kid, John Doe, Jeff the Killer, Captain Rampage, the Priest, and the fucking Old Man. Who the hell is the Old Man? I'd say my favorites to play for survivors would have to be Brawler, Jane Doe, and Soldier. And for killers, I'd say I really like playing Jeff and Cool Kid. When it comes to survivors, I absolutely love Brawler. Brawler is a sentinel that focuses heavily on offense to help out protecting the team. He's got two abilities, Pocket Sand and Liver Blow. With Pocket Sand, it works as a blinding attack for a split second, as well as a block counter if used at the same time you take a hit, with the main downside of his ability being that you have to do an animation to pick up the sand and wait before you can use it. Meanwhile, Liver Blow has an impact frame lunge forward stun that hits really hard. My second favorite would be Jane Doe for being a self-sustaining healer. She's really cool for her ability to heal others while also keeping herself safe from any killers. She has a syringe that if she hits a killer with, will push back and slow them, preventing them from sprinting. Her passive allows her to have a visual indicator whenever a survivor is actively needing healing. And my last favorite being Soldier, which stands out as they have a passive ability that prevents them from showing physical indicators of taken damage, meant to trick the killer into believing that they have more health than they actually do. This makes for a super interesting support and stunner archetype for Soldier, highlighted by their three abilities, Carry, which lets you pick up and protect critically wounded survivors until hit, acting as a meat shield. Block, which as the name suggests, lets you chain a series of attack blocks from the killer, with landing multiple rewarding you with a free stun attack, and Shotgun, being a simple mid-ranged stun. On the other hand though, the starter survivor, Bacon, is honestly one of the worst survivors in my opinion. For starters, his only form of defense would be his flashlight, which drains incredibly quickly, and the only way you can use it is by compromising your safety to run into the killer and blind them up close. And the only way to refill a flashlight is to complete generators. And his only other two moves is a tracker that spots where the killer is, and a pizza that heals himself for 20 HP. His only real gameplay loop is to stay as far away from the killer as possible and blind him any chance you get. That's really all you can do. On top of that, he has no unique or interesting passive, but that is probably just my fault because I rather prefer being a defense or support rather than a survivalist because I get to do more than just run away or not die. That being said, I do appreciate how most of the survivors have differing health and passives, serving different unique purposes and creating interesting coordinated team play loops to fight back against the killer. As far as killers go, boy are they a thrill. I find Captain Rampage and the Priest to be incredibly cool to play, but I'd say my two favorites would be Cool Kid and Jeff the Killer. The interpretation of Cool Kid in Doomed by Fate is honestly the most unique take I've seen done for them. They are one of the most versatile and rushdown killers in the game, with ranged moves as well. They have 4 abilities to use: Dual Piercer, Binding Slash, Lunatic Strike, and Speed Hack. Dual Piercer lets Cool Kid duplicate their firebrand and throw both of them straight forward to the survivor, which travel through walls dealing 12.5 damage each and highlighting those hits. The Binding Slash is a simple slash forward move that has a large hitbox radius that deals 10 damage and applies burn, which deals 1 damage every 5 seconds, and slowness for 3 seconds, capable of hitting multiple targets at a time. Their Lunatic Strike is a strong wind-up punch move that's best used as a corner punishing ability, as it has a long wind-up time making it hard to land, which deals 45 damage and flings the survivors into a ragdoll launch if successfully pulled off. Their last ability is Speed Hack, which simply gives them a 3-second speed boost. I think Cool Kid is incredibly fun to use, and it's so satisfying to land hits, but they do need you to carefully and skillfully predict players' movements if you want to land something like a Dual Piercer or Lunatic Strike. With Jeff the Killer up next, I absolutely love this dude. He works like a close-range ambusher. He's at his best when he's in his rage state, which becomes available after using enough of his stealth moves to fill up his stealth gauge. In rage, his M1s and R attacks become unblockable and uncounterable, making him a total powerhouse, and I absolutely love it. I firmly believe that the gameplay of Doomed by Fate is the most engaging combat there is for these horror-style ASYM'S on Roblox. The movement is quick, snappy, brutal, and not to mention, the skins they have for these games are amazing, like how Brawler has 2 skins related to Jotaro from JoJo's Bizarre Adventures and Yuji from Jujutsu Kaisen, having their own custom animations, and it's really just cool to see, dude. I noticed I didn't make any jokes throughout this segment. So, Raspberry Plastic Tickle Picker! All in all, I think ASYM'S, they can be pretty good. Of course they're not for everybody, I think they all have their ups and downs to them, but I think this genre is incredibly impressive. With so many talented people behind these games, it really brings me hope to see a lot of more really well developed and high quality games get made in the future, even outside of the ASYM genre. Some stuff that I do want to go over, which I've noticed prominently with the ASYM genre, are people's views on community. From what I see, there are indeed bad communities. Forsakens, for example, absolute dog shit. You don't even need to do that much research for this. You could just go on TikTok and you'll have this exact reaction.
What the fuck? Holy shit, dude, what's the matter? What happened? What's going on? There's so much porn!
But something I've noticed is people letting these communities dictate their experience with a game. Really, the people actually let this happen. I don't understand why people do it, but it seems really stupid in my opinion. You should never let a fandom dictate if a game will be fun for you to play or not, and instead learn to appreciate the experience you have with the game. Trust me, I know. I'm a Sonic fan! Could you tell?
Man, I love Sonic the Hedgehog.
Another thing I want to go over is the music. Despite every negative I've said about any of these games, the music goes absolutely hard. Some of the best music to come out of the Roblox community in general. Except you. I'd say my favorite songs would go like this. Ready or Not from Forsaken. John Chase theme from PillarChase 2. Teapot Palace Tour from Die of Death. Dark Remnants from Pwned By 1400. Silver's Last Man Standing from Outcome Memories. And finally, Playful Death from Doom by Fate. I know there were games that I didn't go through, but I'd like to bring some light into one that I have tried playing recently. Terra Realm. After trying it out, I think it's a pretty snazzy game. It still needs some work before it's fully ready for a proper release, but other than that, good job you guys. Also, the voice acting, I find it kind of funny.
Here! This should patch your wounds up!
Take care and don't catch a cold.
Boy, wasn't that a fun discussion. I hope y'all liked it. Be sure to follow me on my Twitter and join the Discord server if you can. Here's my little guilty statistic to convince you to subscribe. With that done, I believe there's one last thing to do, and it's to give ASYM developers proper tips on how to make their games good. Alright, number 1, pay your developers. Number 2, take your time and have fun and treat others nicely. Number 3, do background checks. And number 4, stop hiring groomers!